When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people. When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are listening from around the world of the Eastern Caribbean. How you all doing? Welcome to a special edition of the Make We Talk weekly program. I want to say good afternoon to everyone who's in the chat. Welcome. Thank you all. Hope you all had a good weekend. Annie, how you doing? Annie? Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you all enjoy your weekend, and no matter what you're going through, you always put God first in everything that you're going through in life. And remember never to forget that you need to put God in front of you, and you need to pray to Him and ask Him for His divine intervention, because without Him, who are we? Who are we? There are so many things going on in the land of wood and water and throughout the Caribbean. But I'm going to speak about, where is Donal Donaldson? It's nearly 3 years now, or 4 years now. The case of Donal Donaldson has not been solved. Donal Donaldson's mother is still mourning the loss of her daughter. She mourned the loss of her daughter's father about 3 months ago. My memory serves me correctly. There is no closure towards her daughter's death. Her daughter has been murdered, presume everything. And you beg to ask the question this morning, the 27th day of May 2024. Will Donal Donaldson's family ever get justice from the Jamaica's justice system? A lot of people going to say to me, Jeffrey, don't say it. But I bet you any money that if she had a last name of the people up by Cherry Garden and Norbrook and Upper St. Andrew, of the people of the Vumva and the Vumva V, you'd hear about how many years some people get into prison because the case would have closed a long time. This case is dragging out and dragging out and dragging out because it's quite obvious that there is more to this case. And it's quite obvious. I'm no lawyer, nor am I a detective or anything. But when you sit down and you look into this thing here, this case, anybody who has eyes to see, let them see. And anyone who have ears to hear, let them hear. When the case goes to court, you're being told that case file is not ready, they put it off. Then when it go back to court again, something else is not ready, they put it off. You think that they're dragging out this case, and they're dragging it here and they're dragging it there. For it to go under the rug, like many other cases in this country. Like many other cases in this country. And so, my fellow Jamaicans, both home and abroad, it begs to ask the question this morning: is there justice in Jamaica for the Jamaican people? Is there justice in Jamaica for Donal Donaldson? Will her family, her dear mother, who is still weeping for her belly pain, will she ever get justice in this country? Family and friends of Donal Donaldson is still mourning, while the high up of society in this country take it as a 9-day wonder. Because Donal Donaldson is not recognized in the effluence of society in our country. Like so many other Jamaicans who has lost their loved one to the brutal murder and slaying of men who believe. And I'm gonna say something this morning that maybe all my wife vexed with me, you know. Some of these men in this country of Jamaica and around the world believe that when you put a ring on a woman's finger, you own her. She's your property. And even when you don't put a ring on her finger, you believe that you own the woman. We have some mental sick individual going around in this world and in this country, Jamaica. And it works how they taste something, you know. So when they taste something and it tastes good to them, oh Lord, them own it, you know. I feel them it. They put lock and keep on it. Better behave myself indeed. Noel Maitland who is accused of murdering Donal Donaldson, sitting in the jails of Jamaica. And I bet you any money that when it does go to trial, you're going to hear not guilty, because there's so much cover-up going on in this country, so much corruption going on in this country when it comes on to people who live below Crossroad. Because the people who live below Crossroad don't mean anything to the people who live up Crossroad. And it begs to ask the question of Mr. Fitzbailey, Assistant Commissioner of Police, who was in charge of this case at the time. It begs to ask Mr. Bailey, what is really going on in this case? At one point it said, and I hope I can find it here, I know I wrote it down. At one point it said, Donal Donaldson's boyfriend was on Wednesday arrested after the case file review with the Director of Public Prosecution. The female officer who was implicated in it said that she's not a part of the case. She's not a part of the charges. It takes the Director of Public Prosecution a long while. So tell me something now. The Director of Public Prosecution is the one who is sitting on the behalf of the Donal Donaldson's families, on behalf of the family of Donal Donaldson. It's taken them a long while for them to put the case together, that a good case can go before any judge. But yet, it's taken them a long while. Where is Donal Donaldson? My topic this morning: will Donal Donaldson's family ever get justice in Jamaica? Will her mother ever feel that, yes, I have gotten justice for my daughter? We in this country have a way of having just a 9-day talk and leave it alone. Or a 9-month talk and leave it alone. Because it doesn't affect us. For far too long, our women has been brutally murdered in this country, and nothing comes out of it. For far too long, our children have been taken away and sexually molested by men who believe that they own them. Some very sick, mental deranged individuals in this country. Donal Donaldson is no longer with us. And her family is fighting for justice in this country. A country where the nepotism and cronyism and corruption stink to the highest heaven. A country where justice seems far beyond the reach of the normal Jamaican family. A country in which justice only lies in the hands of the people of the effluence of society. But the justice that the poorer class of Jamaicans seek, they cry out for it. Will they ever get it? Will the poorer class of Jamaica ever get justice that they seek in this country? And so this morning, as we look into the case of Donal Donaldson, Where is Donal Donaldson? Will her family ever get justice in this country? Justice for all the missing women and children in Jamaica. Yet they're telling us that crime is down in this country. The director of public prosecution who represent, if my memory serves me correctly, because I'm not a lawyer, Donal Donaldson's family, the chief prosecutor of the country. Why is it taking you all so long to wrap up this case? We're going to play a clipping where Jamaicans took to the streets asking for justice for Donal Donaldson. I want you all to watch this. Let's hope and pray that this will come out the way how we want it to come out. Hold on for me, please. Here we go.
There are more questions than answers in relation to the disappearance of 24-year-old Donal Donaldson. Her family took to the streets today, insisting that the police are not doing enough. Kelisha Williams has that story. There are more questions than answers in relation to the disappearance of 24-year-old Donal Donaldson. Her family took to the streets today, insisting that the police are not doing enough. Kelisha Williams has that story.
An impassioned plea for help. The family of 24-year-old Donal Donaldson going above and beyond to get answers. Donal has been missing since Tuesday.
Where is the justice system in the police force that say they are here to protect us?
The mystery surrounding the missing woman has been getting more intriguing over the past few days. The family told TVJ News that Miss Donaldson left home on Monday with her boyfriend, who is a policeman, and she has not been seen since.
Tuesday, her mother and her brother talked to her. They said she soon come home, and then up about 5 o'clock. After 5, you not hear nothing, not hear nothing from her again. I 2 phone down. The boyfriend claimed to say, he might have an argument that she leave him house on Tuesday. And he never choose to make an alarm or find out if she reach him till Wednesday evening.
Which is why the family members marched on Chelsea Avenue on Sunday afternoon. It's believed this is the place Donal was last seen.
Nobody come to the family. We get no formal argument as if an investigation taking place or any process going on, any progress, nothing. We're just here in limbo, praying, worrying, and dying for Surinese.
My mother is dying right now as we speak. She was diagnosed with pneumonia recently. And Donal was supposed to be the person to accompany her to the hospital, to give her medication whenever she needs it. My mother needs my sister's support.
A $500,000 cash reward is being offered by the family to anyone with information on Miss Donaldson's disappearance. Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
$500,000 reward has been offered. You know, somebody's asking in the chat room, why am I asking where is Donal Donaldson? One of the reasons why I'm asking where is Donal Donaldson, hold on. What to do here? Hold on. Yes. One of the reasons why I am asking where Donal Donaldson is because her family hasn't gotten any closure towards this case. Why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long for someone? Yes, Noel Maitland is charged for her murder. But why is it taking so long for them to close this case? And I don't want to speculate anything here, but I believe if it was some other people in the effluence of society, the case would have closed long time and person gone to prison and serving a lifetime. And so is other cases in this country. The girl Dean from the University of the West Indies, that blind girl there, who went missing without a trace. You hear nothing more about it. You hear nothing more about a lot of cases in this country where women have been brutally murdered or some women and child gone missing. And you hear nothing more about it. Every day you get up, you have to pray to Almighty God that doesn't happen to anybody in your family or close to you. So that's why we're asking the question this morning. What is going on with the case? Will Donal Donaldson's family ever get justice in Jamaica? Will she ever get justice in this country? You said that Mr. Maitland is well known of the hierarchy of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the upper of society, the effluence of society in our country. Huh? So we need to ask questions this morning. I remember when the case first started, myself and Wilfred Rattigan, Herb Nelson Jr., Rupert Francis had a program on Roots FM and the same Make We Talk program here. And we spoke about it. And this morning, we're going to go back into that same clipping. Questions was asked. Mr. Rattigan tried to answer some of the questions that was asked and what he think about the case. We can't let some of these cases that we know about just languish in the justice system in our country. Because the people who are being murdered, the people who are murdered, because they don't have a highfalutin name or a name that match the society of Parliament. So nothing is being done about it. Yet you have females in the Parliament of Jamaica who will not even come out and ask questions. You have some parliamentarians of other countries around the world who will come out and say, what happened to the case? Why is it taking so long? But our parliamentarians who are women in this country, that just sit down and accept what is going on because it don't affect them. All they can do, like Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, is go on social media and talk about a Jamaican skin color. But the things that face this country of ours, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn don't see it fit to speak about Geraldine, what her name is, gone without a trace. She don't see it fit to speak about the young ladies who are being brutally murdered and raped in this country. But what she sees fit to do is to go on social media and speak about a Jamaican skin color. And it come from England. And I'm a Bucky master. The female parliamentarians on both sides of the fence. That's why they don't want to come on my program anymore. Because I'm not a member of the People's National Party, member of the Jamaica Labour Party. I'm a Jamaican. And I speak about this country. So for those who don't like when I speak about what is going on in the country, I don't want to take side. I'm going to take no side with nobody. You hear nothing from Dr. Angela Brown-Burke. You hear nothing from Lisa Hanna. You hear nothing from Juliet Cuthbert Flynn. You hear nothing from the Speaker of the House, Juliet Holness. You hear nothing from Rhoda Crawford. You hear nothing from Senator Donna Scott Motley. You hear nothing from Senator Gabriella Morris. You hear nothing from Action Anne. Anne-Marie Valls. You hear nothing from her. You hear nothing from the good lady who is in charge of gender, the Honorable Olivia Babsy Grange. You hear nothing from her. You hear nothing from Jamaica's First Lady, who is the wife of the Governor General. Kanana Pong, she for her mouth shut up. You hear nothing from these people. And we must just sit down and say nothing because they don't say nothing. I think not. Nothing from Babsy Grange. Yes, it is before the court. I agree it's before the court. But I ask questions, man. What about those other people who gone missing? What about other people who are murdered in this country and nothing comes out of it? It has not been solved. And the JCF must come out and tell the people of Jamaica how many unsolved cases do they have. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Fitz Bailey, you need to come and tell the Jamaican people, or the Minister of National Security, how many unsolved cases do you have in this country? And how many Jamaicans are in prison languishing who has never gotten the day in court? How many? How many of our black brothers and sisters in this country was never seen the day in court, was never been charged about anything, and then languishing in our justice system in this country, in our prisons in this country? How many Jamaicans who have been charged, but yet the case can't call upon now? Is this the country to talk about to live, work, and raise family? Huh? Is this the case? Is this the country to talk about raising family, to live, work, and raise family? Johnson, if you know about 99.9 unsolved cases, you have my number. Call me if you're telling the truth. Huh? How many? And you hear nothing from the people who are set to govern us. Well, I'm calling them out this morning. There are a lot more than Donal Donaldson, whose case is before the court, but it's been dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged and dragged until all I hear, after I already hear nothing more about it. It gone like Sammy Mouth. Dead, a natural death. How many cases in this country? How many people who have cases in this country that is before the court from Wappy kill Philip and Philip dead long time and I know it can't done? I soon talk about the sewage water in Negril, you know. I soon talk about sewage water in Negril. You wait, I'm getting some information about that. Soon talk about sewage water in Negril. But let us deal with this first. How many Jamaicans? You hear nothing from the female parliamentarians in this country? How many women and children is being murdered and raped in this country? And you hear nothing from the female parliamentarians. Nothing from the wife of the Governor General of this country. Yet we're talking about going republic. You don't believe that when you go republic, all of Jamaica's problem will go away? You all believe that if we go republic, we're going to say bye-bye to our problems? If we go republic, is it going to solve Jamaica's justice problem that we have in this country? If we go republic, is it going to solve the problems that we face on a daily basis in this country with the justice system? Is it going to solve Jamaica's corruption and political problem we face in this country? Huh? Is it going to solve our problem in this country? I'm not saying we shouldn't go republic. But if they can't solve our problem in this country, when it comes on to the justice of this country, when it comes on to giving the people of Jamaica, Donal Donaldson's family justice, that they can say, okay, we have gotten justice. You believe that if we go republic, it's going to solve our problems in this country? When them same one won't even tell us, won't even educate us on the constitution reform in this country? When them same one refuse to educate the people properly about constitutional reform in this country. When you come on social media, you talk about your pain, your JLP. When are we going to wake up in this country and call a spade a spade? When are we going to stand up and say enough of this? When? No more, my friends. We can't sit by and understand and let this go on like this. Something has to be done. And we have to stand up now. We can't just continue like this, year after year, day after day. We have to stand up now and speak out. Too much of our young people, our young women, and our mothers are going missing in this country. And you hear nothing from these so-called female parliamentarians. Don't get me wrong, you have some good ones inside there who speak out. Yes, they are. Now we speak of none other than Senator Gabriella Morris and Donna Scott Motley and others. But I'm calling on them now to speak out and ask questions. How many cases does the JCF have unsolved? How many? They don't answer us. But I'm pretty much sure that they'll answer Senator Donna Scott Motley and Senator Gabriella Morris and Juliet Holness and Juliet Cuthbert Flynn and a Speaker of the House, Juliet, and a First Lady, Her Excellency Lady Allen. I'm pretty much sure when you ask questions, you get answers from these people. What more or how long shall we suffer in this country under these people? I want you all to listen to something that we all did about Donal Donaldson's case. Wilfred Rattigan, Herb Nelson Jr., Dr. Rupert Francis, and myself. I want you all to listen to this.
That one day on the red hills of
Hold on for a minute. I don't want you to listen to that part. Hold on. Call only 876-782-8235. This morning I have with me, he's not on us yet, Wilfred Rattigan, attorney at law and former FBI agent. I also have with me Dr. Rupert Francis, head of the Jamaican Diaspora Crime Investigation Task Force. Mr. Herb A. Nelson Jr. rather. He is the chairman of the He's the chairman of the, just a moment, please, my computer. Yeah, sorry about that. Chairman of the Crime Security Regional Committee of the Caribbean. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Make We Talk.
Good morning, Jeffrey. Pleasure to be here again and to be able to speak with your listeners. Good morning, Doc.
Unmute your mic for me, Dr. Francis.
Unmute
your mic, please.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jeffrey.
Morning.
Good morning, Herb. Good morning, listeners. It's the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force, my brother. Just want to clear crime intervention. But it's always good to be with you, to share with you this morning, especially because it's now Independence Week, so to speak. And man, it was a great start. Started with a church service on Sunday in Florida, South Florida. We are going to be having, a gala on the weekend. We are going to be having a motorcade and a street dance. So we are looking forward to celebrating independence in style. So for anybody who God is, let them God is. Everything is all right, Mr. Rattigan. Yeah.
Yes, indeed, my brother.
Apologies. That's okay. Let I start with our good attorney at law. Mr. Rattigan.
Yes, sir.
You could advise Donnelly's family from the moment she reported missing. How would you advise them?
Thanks for the question. Thanks for having me. Good morning to my fellow panelists and your listening audience, your viewing audience as well. What I would have done from the very beginning was to advise the family to retain the services of an attorney and a group of investigators second. First, the attorney, because what you would need is, you need a liaison. You need someone between the family and the people conducting the investigation. And the reason for that is this. You don't want to have different family members contacting the investigators and have the investigators talking to different family members about the progress or lack thereof of the investigation, because that's only going to call for speculation and confusion, especially in this age of technology and social media, where you tell someone a story and after about 5 iterations of that story, it's a completely different story from what was originally told. So they would need to have someone who would be the point person, so to speak, that would liaise with the investigators and the prosecutors, and also would be in a position to encourage them to keep whatever information is shared with them confidential, because you cannot have a situation where the investigators are talking to the family or the mediator or the point person, and then have the family go out and then start talking, because that's only going to jeopardize the investigation. So that's a roundabout way of answering your question, which is 1, an attorney as a point person, and 2, if you suspect that the investigators might be missing certain skill sets, then you could hire your own group of investigators to assist them.
Okay. Dr. Francis, you as a Jamaican, and you head the Crime Investigation Task Force. Am I saying it correctly, sir?
Crime Intervention and Prevention.
Yes,
Intervention and Prevention Task Force, yes. Yes. Yeah, and it's very important that it says intervention and prevention, because what Brother Rattigan has just said is it basically intervention and prevention of an assault on the public or vice versa on anybody. We would like to intervene before it happens and prevent it from happening. So that's why it's important. But anyway, your question was, what was your full question? Sorry.
Yes. You lead that task force in America.
Well, go ahead,
for
sir.
Jamaicans, I should say. If you should be invited to Jamaica to help with the family, in this case, how would you go about doing it? And would you accept it, sir?
First of all, I'm telling you that obviously the public agrees with what Mr. Rattigan, who's now become I would say a star, for having said what he said. He's saying that his 11-year-old son, that in particular could have solved the issue. Because when you look at any jurisdiction, and I'm not putting down the police or what have you, that's not the issue. There are certain things that were available that was, information, although there was no body or nothing at all, evidence that could be gathered and so that would point in a certain direction. And the question that he has raised is, and the people of obviously in Jamaica are now raising, is it a fair process? Because one of the members of the involved, or two of the members that are involved, are in the police force. And other police have come out and said certain things, which of course are allegations. A person is innocent until proven guilty, but circumstantial evidence, a lot of circumstantial evidence is there. And there's also been a lot of things out there that is said, that the people have said, that perhaps the place was cleaned before the actual investigation began. Okay? And if you look at the timeline involved and you listen to the timeline, the people have a point. Now, why are we in the diaspora interested? We should be interested because, first of all, this person's a social media influencer, but if for anybody, the 800 persons that have been missing so far and nobody knows where they are, and many of them have contributed to Jamaica. We're talking about teachers and what have you and so on. I remember a math teacher. That one is particularly egregious to me because, we need math teachers in Jamaica in particular. We need everybody, but certainly people of that caliber. And so we need to know that when somebody is dead or is missing, so to speak, we have a full investigation. Now, I know that the JCF is under pressure. I know that the JDF is on, but they can call for help. That's where because we have family there. We have friends there. We have colleagues there. And just to clear up one thing I always say, a lot of people think that we are anti-Jamaican. Absolutely not. When you read the pledge, I had heard the pledge read, and I'll just finish at this one. When I heard the pledge read by a pastor on Sunday, and every aspect of the pledge is so clear. We are there for the interest of the people, to serve, the people and our people, and to make sure we advance the welfare of the entire and the whole human race, right? So we have to do what we have to do in order to keep peace in our land and to make sure that Jamaica can advance under God. So that's my charge, and I will never, ever give that up. So that's my point, sir, why we must do what we have to do in the diaspora. Certainly.
Mr. Nelson, same question for you, sir.
Could you repeat the question for me, Jeffrey? I was doing battle with my pug here, trying to get him to stop all the noise.
If you should come to Jamaica, if the family should reach out to you and ask you to come down to Jamaica to assist with the investigation for them, how would you go about doing it? And would you answer yes or no?
I clearly would, in conjunction with a qualified attorney, answer yes. The bottom line is you need to be able to, if you're monitoring an investigation, you're not second guessing the police, but you're looking at the actions of the police. And not only are you looking at the actions of police, you're looking at the quality of the evidence being collected. For instance, being an intelligence person from the intelligence community, we usually pinpoint people's movements. We look at if they have a registered cell phone. We look at the pings on the cell phone towers to know what their movement was. We would want to establish a clear timeline, not just the day of that she went missing, but we want to look at previous movements and compare it to movements after she actually goes missing. All right. In that way, you can look at deviation. We want to get phone records, which we, here in the US, we can get access to quite easily.
But before you go down that road,
Okay.
Mr. Nelson, the question I want to ask next, based on the whole telephone record. Let me say this. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, 2 o'clock Jamaica time, the Jamaica Constabulary Force will be having a press conference. Is it based on Donal Donaldson? Well, information reaching me, yes, it is. And we're asking everyone to listen to that press conference. It's going to be on YouTube and so forth. Question for Mr. Rattigan. Based on the disappearance and information provided by the JCF, Mr. Rattigan, at their last press conference, how would you approach this investigation if you were called upon? Unmute your mic for me, please, sir.
Sorry about that. Just to follow up on Herb's point, he started to make some points about the types of investigation that will be conducted. Yeah. And I have a whole list of things here that if I were in charge of it, things that I would go through. Number one is, and it's by no means of importance, I'm just telling you as they come to my mind, as I've just written them down. Blood work. First thing I would do, once she's missing, she's declared missing, and so we have to go in and to figure out what's going on, because we know the last place where she was. So that's where the first place you're going to start searching. So we would go in and we would start looking blood work, which is simply you just spray the luminol in and you come in with a fluorescent light to see if there are any blood splatters, blood traces in the apartment. And by the way, I don't know the size of the apartment, if it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, but I suspect that based on the location, it's probably no more than a 2-bedroom, quite possibly a 1-bedroom apartment. So you're not talking about a very large area to search. You'd also look for DNA, tissue, for example. Telephone tracking, and Herb just mentioned that. You look at text messages. You could look at where the phones were pinging, the cell towers that they were pinging off of to determine the location. There was also a report that neighbors heard a commotion in the apartment. So for sure, you would start interviewing neighbors, you would interview family, you would interview friends to find out the kind of relationship that these two individuals had. CCTV, Jamaica Eye, any kind of video tapes or cameras in the area. There's also mention of a truck driver and a missing settee or couch. He would be interviewed as well. I was also told that there was a fire in Riverton City the week after she died. I would be checking that out to make sure that, a body wasn't set on fire in that area. I would also do the background for all of these people involved, because the background can tell you a lot. For example, people have raised the specter of criminality with the police officer, because they said he was involved with a group in another part of the island, and as a result, he was moved because of the appearance of impropriety. I don't know how true that is, but I do know that he was moved. Social media postings. You can get a lot of information from people's posts. So it would be all of these, and once this would just be the basic, and this should drive the investigation. This should take you to whatever leads are extending from here maybe you don't, maybe there are no leads to be derived from after you've done all of this work. Maybe it's conclusionary. Once you've done this, you know exactly who you're looking at. But at the very least, these are things that should have been done.
Okay. At the very least, these are things that should have been done. Now, if by any chance they had listened to Mr. Rattigan and Herb Nelson and Rupert Francis about the case, as I said before, I am no lawyer, nor do I profess to be a lawyer or investigator. All I'm saying, why is it taking so long for someone who keep on going before the court and you're being told that the case file is not ready? You're being told that the case file is not ready. Huh? Those are the things we're asking. And it goes back down to one thing again. Will the family of Donal Donaldson ever get justice in this country? Not because Herb Nelson Jr., Rupert Francis, and Wilfred Rattigan is my friend. I'm going to say this. But don't you think that at the high up of this country, or the high up of the JCF, get in contact with these people and other Jamaicans who live overseas, they could solve Jamaica's crime problem? How many other murders in this country that's not solved? How many cases does the JCF have right now that is not solved? We need to know. We, the Jamaican people, need to know how many cases you all have that is not solved. Good afternoon, JamaicanTV.com. How are you doing, my friend? Grace Lewis, good afternoon to you. All the other persons on this platform who are coming in, good afternoon. Let's all have a civil conversation on this platform here. No disrespect with each other. Huh? Those are the questions. How many other cases does the Jamaica Constabulary Force has right now that is not being solved? Or it's just dormant? You hear nothing more about it. We're going to listen to some more of what Mr. Rattigan, Herb Nelson, and Dr. Francis had to say. In an interview that I had with them, when the time started, when Donal Donaldson went missing, I had them on my program. And you need to listen to what they said. So when you listen to what they said, and you say to yourself, have the JCF done all of this and present it? And also, the chief prosecutor was the DPP representing Donal Donaldson's family. And that is why we're saying to Donal Donaldson's family, get a lawyer. Have they gotten a lawyer? I don't know. But I'm just saying, you know, based on all of this, there you go again. You're so correct, JamaicanTV.com. You hear nothing about so many cases in this country. And every time the JCF come out, they have some quarterly, monthly press briefing, telling a bunch of lies to the Jamaican people, as if we're a bunch of nincompoop. We don't have no sense. About crime going down and this are going down and that they're going down. Listen to what Mr. Rattigan and Dr. Francis and Herb Nelson had to say pertaining to the case again. Listen to some more of it, please.
And let me say should have been done. Let me just put out a word of caution here. I'm not saying that these things haven't been done because we haven't been told specifically by the JCF. However, let me say that the JCF in their press conferences, they indicated that the forensics unit and the people who conduct telephone analysis and so on and so forth, that they were involved in the investigation. Now, that's a pretty good clue that some of the things that I just mentioned to you, that they're being done. If we believe what the JCF is saying, that they have these experts looking in these areas, then I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt at this point that these things have been done. But that remains to be seen at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Yes. Dr. Francis? Your mic is still muted, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a follow-up on what Mr. Rattigan just said?
Well, you know, I didn't answer the question first. Yes, I would encourage a team from here, certainly at the behest of the family. I don't know why they have not so requested, because I think that social media agrees with us that we could add value. Certainly, if you have professionals interacting with the police, asking the right questions, then it could assist us, and certainly they may have to look twice at certain things. I mean, because nobody's perfect. So I think that it is important that, as Herb said, as Mr. Rattigan has said, there are things that we might be missing and they have no clue whatsoever. This is not about Donal Donaldson alone. It's about the whole, as I'm saying. Yes, the primary focus now must be on that, because you have members of the force who have been implicated, at least one member so far. Why they have not implicated the other one, I do not know. There might have been scars, for example, because if there was a scuffle, and with whomever interacted with Donal Donaldson, because, you know, she would not go quietly into the midnight. So therefore, these are things that they should have been looking at all this time, bite marks, anything like that. So, you know, what they're saying is absolutely true. And what I'm saying, I cannot wait to hear the press conference this evening as to what they're saying. Because and the question also, pressure can be put on either party or all of the parties to say what they know, because they obviously know more than they know. If I saw an interview with the truck man, and he was as nervous as you could have it. His legs were shaking. I don't know if you saw that. You didn't show his face, but you didn't have to. His body language was there. He knows something more. And he ain't saying it. But the point I'm trying to make, I'm telling you, they're not infallible, they're not indestructible. They can give the evidence. The question is, how long will they hold out for? And they're hoping that this man will get bail and maybe, I don't know, fly the coop, whatever they want to call it. I would suggest that they do not, they hold on to him at the moment and hold on to the lady, his girlfriend.
Hold on, Dr. Francis, before you go any further, we got to be very careful with that. Because, with the lady, because we don't know, based on what is going on, we got to be very careful with the lady.
Why?
Because of information. No, hold on, Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis, hold a minute. Okay. Based on information that I am getting, I cannot put out to the public.
Right.
We gotta be very, very careful with the issue of the police woman. We gotta be very careful.
All right, fine.
When we hear the press conference this evening, then we can go back on air and discuss everything, but information that I am getting,
and
it's credible information, we have to be very careful what we say pertaining to that part of the case.
Okay, may I give you my version of what I have also gleaned as well? I'm just simply saying, I understand that she had gone to the apartment. That's all I'm saying, right? Gone to the apartment, and whether before or after, I'm not sure. But the fact is, she's gone to the apartment. If that is the case, then we have to find out what went on. That's all I'm saying. I'm not making any allegations against anyone, not passing any judgment. But the fact of the matter is, that you can't leave any stone unturned. That's my view. And when it pertains to an investigation, I hope you can agree with me on that.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Nelson.
Yes, in support of let's say Mr. Rattigan is the lead, and I'm supporting him. We would want to look for motive as well. And looking for motive, the collection at the crime scene would have been cell phones, computers, tablets, or any other communication device, to include throwaway phones if those can be located. And when you look at those, you can look at the history of phone calls, texts, and other items in communication to see if there's any prior planning. Okay, if it's a crime of passion, let's say, you know, that happens usually, you know, impetuously, immediately. But if it's a carefully planned scenario, then you may have some research. You may even go on the computer and say research how to dispose of certain things. Because I don't know how well trained a constable is when it comes to evidence collection. I mean, usually detectives get the advanced training. So as a constable, I would be curious as to what type of training that he has had. And I'd be looking at training records as well. One of the things that can happen, if indeed he were moved and it was because of other activities, I would want to further investigate that, since you have a CTOC team, which is the premier level team in the JCF. I'd want to do enhanced investigation of why he was moved, and to see if there's any evidence where you could actually try and convict on just the minor charges, and then you have him sitting for a while in jail until you can finish with the other stuff. And if he has any kind of people involved in any other cases that he's involved with, I've been looking at his cases and how the cases were handled, arrests and stuff like that. Because if you can find out who his colleagues are, that would be most helpful to him. And there's a reflection on them that improprieties might have been done in any case on their part, then you want to add pressure to them as well to come up with what was his mindset prior to, what was he saying about the missing person. All of these things you want to put together to look at motive and to build the case based on motive. Everything else that Mr. Rattigan has stated about the crime scene and the collection of evidence and to speaking to the neighbors are equally important. And you wouldn't just be addressing just the time there was a commotion. You want to find out if there were other commotions or other incidents that they noticed whenever she came around. And you would then know if there has been a build-up to that particular date when things occurred.
Herb, that was good, great analysis. I want to say also the pickup by the truck man. He said he didn't do it, from what I understand. When I heard the interview with him, he didn't come alone. It was he himself and someone else who picked up the couch. Okay, the couch. So the question is, both lifted up the couch. How heavy was the couch? Many things have to be, they have to investigate all of that. Who were the persons who were involved in picking up the couch? It was daylight, I understand, when the coach was picked up. Alrighty? So
that's a good question, Dr. Francis. You just joined us. This is a recording of an interview I did with Herb Nelson Jr., Wilfred Radigan, and Dr. Rupert Francis. Read the Donal Donaldson disappearance. And until this blessed day, the things that Rupert Francis, Herb Nelson Jr., and Wilfred Radigan spoke about, you think that the JCF would have solved the case long time? And many other cases in our country that is unsolved. I know this before the court, and I'm gonna say this again this morning. I had said it, and I had said it before. I'm gonna say it again. If Donal Donaldson, if Donal Donaldson had a name that fit the people of the Vumvavon and the Vumvavi of the effluence of society in our country, this case would have solved long time. Will the family, will Donal Donaldson's mother ever get justice in this country? And will the other people who was murdered in this country, will the other women who was sexually assaulted in this country, will ever get justice in Jamaica? A teacher who was sexually assaulted at the Station School in high school, the female teacher don't have a job this morning, but yet the male teacher who sexually assaulted her is still teaching. 3 other students was sexually assaulted at the Station School in high school, and the janitor is still working. When one of the female mother went to the guidance counselor and asked what happened to my daughter, the guidance counselor at the school, one of the guidance counselors said to the mother, ask your daughter at the Station School in high school. Now we have a case before us. And those who want to think that I'm going to speak because, well, me a PNP. I'm not a PNP, but where justice lies, we must get justice for our people. Information reaching me. And as I said before, I'm no lawyer. Mr. Dian Silvera, who's accused of murdering his wife, Melissa Silvera. The question was asked this morning. It is alleged that somebody named from the Parliament of Jamaica is on her land title. There's a man whose name, who has not been called, who the police refuse to investigate, who was with Mrs. Silvera that night. Want to see what's going on in this country? You all see the web of nepotism and cronyism and corruption in this country? Will the Jamaican people ever get justice in this country? Because what? The people of the high up of the Vumvavon and the Vumvavi is all tied up. It's a gang of web. It's a web of corruption and nepotism and cronyism. Mr. Joan Silvera is sitting in a jail in Halfway Tree right now, or wherever he is, accused of murdering his wife. And the real culprits who did it is free like a bird, according to my late good friend Wilmot Mutty Perkins. Free like a bird in the sky. She borrowed some money. Mrs. Silvera borrowed some money from a sister of hers. $12 million. Gunmen was sent to Mrs. Silvera's house. What happened after that? Now they sell the Kobe land. The person who, Mrs. Silvera, owed the $12 million. Did you get your $12 million from the sale of Kobe land? Did you get the sale? Did you get the money from the sale of Kobe land? The $12 million. And the man who, you know who do it? You know yourself. Do you have any heart within you? Why did you kill the woman and want to plant everything on the husband? Why? Ballistic evidence show that the gun that killed Melissa Silvera doesn't belong to the husband. Mr. Coffee Man, the man who loves to drink coffee, good morning to you. Mr. Coffee Man, give up yourself. You know who killed Melissa Silvera, Mr. Coffee Man, give up yourself. Mr. Coffee Man, a certain country in the Middle East are the people of the Vumvavon, the Vumvavi, wanted to spend over $200 or something million or $35 million just to see Kobe land. And when you talk Wilfred Rattigan and Herb Nelson Jr. and others, and Rupert Francis bringing down Jamaica, bringing down brand Jamaica. Don't tell me what is going on in this country if not bringing down brand Jamaica. The nepotism and cronyism in this country, not bringing down brand Jamaica. When you all cook up to send an innocent father, the mother dead, to send an innocent father to prison for her children and his children to live without a mother and a father, while Funo Pitney live in high society, you think Almighty God asleep? You think that the God that we pray to sleeping? Noel Maitland, you think Almighty God sleeping? Fitz Bailey, Deputy Commissioner of Police, you think Almighty God sleeping? The same God who you go to church you preach to and they preach about. Fitz Bailey, be careful. Be ye careful of how you're talking about the Almighty God. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Fitz Bailey, be ye careful of how you talking about Almighty God. When you know people in this country suffering under the corruption and nepotism. They have a way. The people of the high society in this country, you know, the people of the Vumvavon, the Vumvavin in this country have a way of cooking up things and putting it on people and make people go languish in a prison for nothing. I heard that the coffee man was a very good friend of the Minister of National Security. How is it that a certain people in Parliament name is on Kobe land title? I want you all to listen to some more of Mr. Rattigan, what he said about the Donal Donaldson's case. He and Herb Nelson Jr. and Dr. Rupert Francis. Listen to some more of this, please.
Inconsistent reports.
Dr. Francis, hold a minute for me, please. I do apologize. Just bear with me. It is 10:31, 11:31 in the United States. We're listening, watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean. We're talking about Donal Donaldson with some esteemed gentlemen. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here and make we talk. Like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you very much.
With it. It can be dealt with. So I'm saying to you and to the world that our leaders must understand silence is golden, and we're not asking people to talk about a case that's being investigated. All we're saying, reassure the country. If you want to reignite the country, reassure it, right? And be responsible about what we're doing. I'm trying my best to be responsible. We are trying our best to be responsible here. And we want the people out there to keep on agitating in a good way. Do not stop, because if we can get this momentum going, then we can we will be able to stop this wanton slaughter that is taking place. And that's my hope and that's my prayer. So over to you, Mr. Tavares.
Tavares, may I just jump in and just say?
Go ahead, sir.
All right. One is my esteemed colleague, Dr. Francis, used the term "no stone unturned," and it's interesting that the PNP, in its statement regarding regarding Donnelly's disappearance, they put out the same thing. It's a wonderful phrase, but I kind of dislike it for this reason. Not because Dr. Francis said it or the PNP, but because a gentleman by the name of Carl Williams, former police commissioner, said it. And he said it and it became a joke, because every time a crime was committed, he would say, we'll leave no stones unturned. And the crimes were never solved. Instead of saying that, him should just turn over the stone them and just solve the crime, or do more and less stalking. But he didn't do that. He kept saying, we will leave. It was a catchphrase, and it became a running joke, we will leave no stones unturned. So I just wanted to throw that out. Now, getting to my son, mention was made of my 11-year-old son solving this crime. He's been following this, believe it or not. And he made a statement to me recently. He said, "Dad, I noticed that the police, they seem to have caught on recently because they just arrested the guy, something that should have been done before." And, I started laughing and I said, all in due time, son, all in due time. Going back to the idea of missing persons, it's important at this point that we're focusing on Donnelly, but just keep in mind, Jamaica, that from January 1st to this point, approximately 850 people have been declared missing in Jamaica. Now, some of those people, you can assume they're just runaways and maybe they'll come back. Some of them, they've left the island, from what I'm gathering, and they're probably going through Mexico to get to the US or to other islands. Then you have human trafficking, you have human smuggling, and certainly cannot rule out deaths. You cannot rule out people being killed in that. So the question is, and over the past 4 years, my understanding is that more than 8,000 people have been declared missing. So you ask yourself the question, what is the JCF doing about this? Is this a priority? And one may rightly raise the question, and before I raise the question, I said Donnelly's case deserves all the attention we're giving it. But somebody, a relative of one of those 850 people, or all of them, could easily raise the question, and rightly raise the question, what about our family members? How come they're not getting the attention that Donnelly is getting? Not that they're trying to say that she shouldn't get it, but they're like, this should be a priority for the JCF. What is the JCF doing? Now, I'm aware that CVM, they have a program called Missing. and it's broadcasted several times during the week. And they talk about missing people. That's a good public service there. But CVM was not hired to serve, protect, and reassure. That's the bailiwick. That's the province of the JCF. So question is, and I'm sure they're struggling with it because people are, I'm not.
You heard what Mr. Rattigan said? The JCF is supposed to be serving and protecting the Jamaican people. Yet, so many of our people gone missing. Yet, so many of our people have been murdered in this country. And so many of our people is languishing in prisons in Jamaica, never seen the light of day. And yet, the cases that is before the court, the cases that is before the court, cannot solve all now. It's been dragged out and dragged out and dragged out and dragged on and dragged on. Good morning, Yo-Yo, or good afternoon, Yo-Yo. Huh? It's been dragged on and dragged on. So many people can't get justice in our country. And every 5 years, you know, come and talk about no. I'll make sure I can see with the windows and door open. I know people can't get justice. Listen to some more of Wilfred Rattigan. That's an interview that he did with me. An interview he did with me. On the first couple of days of the Donal Donaldson's case. And I decided to bring it up this morning because I'm not hearing anything about it. And I believe that this case with Donal Donaldson and others is going to just drag on and nothing comes out of it. That's what I believe. Yo, honey pop. That's what I believe. That this case with Donal Donaldson is going to drag on and drag on and drag on and Noel Maitland walk free. Listen to some more of this, please.
First person to raise it. Several people have raised it, saying, what's going on with the other 850? More so, what happened to the other people for the past years? What are we doing? Do we have a squad? Do we have a division? Do we have a battalion of people looking at these? Or are they just, we just take the complaints and just put them in a book and they're just stats? That's a question that's been raised. Going back to the types of investigation and the techniques, one of the things that I would use is polygraph. Now, the polygraph, it's not accepted in U.S. courts, but it can be used as a tool. And there are ways that you can use it to get to the truth. Not that it's going to tell you the truth, but there are ways you can use it to get, and I've seen it done. So that's something that they probably, if they haven't thought about it, they probably should think about it. Now, I don't know what the rights of people are, if they're just suspects, or if they're persons of interest, or if they're witnesses. I don't know what the rights are of people in Jamaica to refuse the polygraph, but it's certainly something that should come up in the discussion.
Yeah, I just want to say something here, Mr. No stone unturned. I didn't collaborate with the PNP either. To come up with that term.
No, you
just want to be absolutely clear.
I know you didn't.
Hold on a minute for me, Dr. Francis. Just 1 minute for me, please. Our listeners, if you want to take part in our discussion or ask Mr. Rattigan or any of my panelists on this program any questions, you can call Roots FM studio number 876-225-9478 or WhatsApp call only 876-782-8235. WhatsApp call only 876-782-8235. Roots FM 876-225-9478. Go ahead, Dr. Francis. Then I go to the next question.
Yeah, I want to say that that was an unfortunate statement, actually, that I don't normally use it, but I did. And now that you've told me the rationale behind it, I agree with you. But when I was saying that, I meant that we have to, and I'm sure you understand the process. that we really have to look in every corner, under every possible thing to get to the truth. Your son is very man, he has perception. And so therefore, and I hope, I know he got it from you, so don't say, and of course your wife, but the fact of the matter is that we need young people like that who are looking at things and trying to make their own analyses and so on. And the people of Jamaica, I encourage them. What you have been doing is, although some people don't like it, it has to be done in order to bring the country to boot. When I look at other countries and how they are operating and how they've been able to stem the tide of crime and corruption, etc., which is important. Jamaica is at the top of the in many respects, in many areas. Jamaica, look, the Eiffel Tower had its colors on Jamaica on Emancipation Day. What I'm saying is, and I close on this part of it, we are so important, but we can lose that importance. There's some great, we have Babs Green did a fantastic job. Let's just say that on the emancipation, on the celebration so far, and Bartlett has brought a lot of people to Jamaica, but we could lose it. Members of this panel and others I've heard, we could lose it if we don't take care of the things that we have. And Donal Donaldson, let me tell you something, is the epicenter of this. Of course, the 800 people are important, but it's the epicenter, and we must not allow it to just go into the wind.
Well, you know what? I agree with you on that. And also, I need to make a big shout out to Miss Betty Ann Blaine. She's a child advocate. And one of the things with her program is that she's very concerned about missing children 18 and under. She doesn't deal with adults. And one of the problems, I think, with the stats is that the police, the JCF, they put out stats covering adults and children. And what they should do is they should separate them, because children have certain needs that the adults, they don't, psychological, social, and otherwise. And so if I can make a plea to the JCF, it's that when you start looking at these numbers, when you start looking at the complaints of missing individuals, please try and separate them from between children and adults, so that people like Miss Betty Ann Blaine, will make their job a lot easier in terms of getting resources to the people that really need it. Because when an adult goes missing, it could be voluntary. Children, yes, but we have a responsibility to our children. If you're under 18, we have a greater responsibility to you than somebody over 18 who decides to walk off into the sunset. So, Miss Betty Ann Blaine, big up for the work you're doing, and continue to do what you do in God's work.
I endorse that fully. Our children deserve more, and they are our future. And I did not get that one from the other side either. It's from the back, right? I just want to say that it's important to develop them, because if we can be doing so well, I'm sure everyone on this panel agrees, if we can be doing so well without these early resources, right? And the resources like with Betty and Blaine fully and so on, we can do 10 times that, okay? And that's my call.
Going seems to be the communication is poor. And I say it's poor because that's the only way the loved one will turn to social media to voice their complaints, voice themselves. Now, the JCF has a spokesperson, and I believe that spokesperson has to expand their horizons and to embrace all the cases where it could possibly break out across social media. They have to be able to anticipate this kind of stuff and get to it, get to those loved ones before it goes to social media. Because social media, once you start broadcasting, you have different avenues down there that is going to blow it up, right? And then the police run around like firemen trying to put fires out. That's not how they should be operating. Another area that of concern that they should look at, for every case that impacts you should have within the area headquarters out there. There's a lot of
We're going to drift away from that for a couple of minutes and talk some more about the whole Donal Donaldson's case. They're talking about that, yes, with Herb Nelson, Rupert Francis, and Wilfred Radigan and myself. A recording that we did on the first week of the disappearance of Donal Donaldson. The first week of it. I want you all to watch some videos here. The way how the JCF is doing in this case. I want you all to listen to this. Jamaicans from all walks of life decide that they need to take to the streets. And when they did that, that's the time the JCF act. When Wilfred Radigan and myself and Herb Nelson and Rupert Francis came out and called them out for who they are, that's the time they act. So we want to know now, why is the DPP dragging their foot? Are the court dragging their foot? Look how long. We will not stand by and see a case swept underneath the carpet. For far too long, so many cases in our country swept underneath the carpet. Listen to what Mr. Ratigan said in an interview I had with him.
That's the latest one I got. Now, let me just say this. Let me just, sorry to interrupt you. Let me just say this. You asked a question not too long ago, whether or not if the family contacted me, if I'd be willing to go. Now, let me speak to you and the people of Jamaica. Not only would I be willing to go, but if I'm allowed to take Dr. Francis and Herb, and I have 2 FBI agents, one in Texas, one in Arizona, and a police officer that I work with, if I'm able to go to Jamaica with those 5 people, just those 5 people, this case would be solved in less than a week. Less than a week.
Hold on a minute there.
Not only this case, but we could also help them with the other cases, the outstanding cases that they have lingering, that they have no clue as to who the perpetrators are, or they don't know how to collect the evidence, or they've miscollected the evidence, or whatever they've done, the cases haven't been brought to justice. We could help with this.
And after that, all after that, the Jamaican people took to the streets and said, enough. This is what they did. They took to the streets. They went to the apartment where Noel Maitland was living. And they demand the neighbors to talk of what happened. What did they see? Then the next day, I think it was the next day or a couple of days after, we got breaking news about this. This is what we got.
As the investigation into the disappearance of Miss Donal Donaldson intensify, on Tuesday the 26th of July, a case review was held at the CIB headquarters between the hours of 4:30 and 10 p.m. A number of stakeholders were involved in that case review, such as the offices of the Director of Public Prosecution, INDICOM, and police from different departments within the force. As a result of the case review, it was agreed that there was adequate evidence to link Constable Noel Maitland to the disappearance of Miss Donaldson. On Wednesday, the 27th of July, Constable Noel Maitland was arrested on Duke Street by police officers assigned to the Counterterrorism and Organized Crime Division. He was placed in custody pending further investigation. At this time, I wish to point out that there is no evidence to link District Constable Simmet to the disappearance of Miss Donaldson. Further information will be made available in subsequent release.
Mr. Fitzbailey, you're the Deputy Commissioner of Police, sir. Is there something you're hiding from the Jamaican people, sir? Why you can't come out and tell the people of Jamaica how many other cases is unsolved by the JCF? Yes, Mr. Maitland is before the court. And everything is left up to the court and the Director of Public Prosecution to bring the case to the court on the behalf of the Donal Donaldson's family. But the people of Jamaica is asking the question this afternoon or this morning. Mr. Maitland is due back in court come 2025. Can we honestly say that Mr. Maitland is truly locked up in one of the Jamaica's prisons? Or did he come out when he feel like coming out? Huh? Or can the people of Jamaica depend on our justice system that Donal Donaldson's family will get justice for the murder of their daughter and their nieces and nephews? The nieces, rather. Will they ever get justice? Fitzbailey? Then Mr. Bailey went on to say some more about the case. Here he goes again.
Maitland's home was also visited and processed by our forensic teams. On July 18, a case review was conducted and a press briefing convened at the offices of the Commissioner of Police. Between July 18 and July 24, additional persons were interviewed and statements recorded. Other evidential materials were also secured and processed. On July 25, a divisional case review was held. On July 26, a third case review was conducted where members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the DPP and senior prosecutors from her office, as well as Indicom were in attendance. On July 27, Constable Maitland was taken into police custody and a press statement issued. On July 29, he was taken before a court and remanded in custody. What I can report at this time is that Constable Maitland was this afternoon charged with the murder of his 23-year-old girlfriend, Donal Donaldson. His formal charge comes after 20 days of diligent and comprehensive investigation by detectives in what began as a missing persons investigation, but given the evidence that was being collected, subsequently became a murder probe.
A murder probe. He's still in jail, while Donal Donaldson's mother is waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I know Constable Maitland. Is it that Constable? You know something? I sit down and I listen to Wilfred Rattigan and Herb Nelson Jr. and Dr. Rupert Francis talk about this case in a program I had on this same Make We Talk program here. And if the police go by what these three gentlemen were saying. Or should I say the Minister of National Security? Some of Jamaica's crime problem would have solved, you know. Yeah, I heard that her father died too. So Miss Sophia Lugg, she's mourning the passing of her daughter and her daughter's father, who was a doctor in is it Barbados or Bahamas. He died too with a broken heart. No closure towards the death of their daughter. And I keep on saying this, and I make no apology. If it was some people from Upper St. Andrew, Cherry Garden, Norbrook, and Beverly Hills, the case would have solved long time and people gone to prison who be dead. A lot of people don't like Robert Bobby Montague, you know. But I heard Bobby Montague said something the other day. That they must resume hanging in this country. Hang them until they keep thin like a dog. And if they resume hanging in this country, a lot of these people who are creating the mayhem in this country would think twice. Now you murder somebody, Pitney, and you must go a prison for name taxpayer money for the rest of your life. Huh? You must be given a life sentence for murder somebody, Pitney. A woman's belly pain, 9 months of belly pain. And you not gonna name my tax, my hard-earned tax dollars? That's what is going on in our country, Jamaica. Will Donal Donaldson's family ever get justice? Will Miss Sophia and her brothers and sisters, her uncles, her aunties, her nieces and nephews, her cousins, her friends, will they ever get justice? Will they ever get justice in this country? Let's listen to some more of what Wilfred Rattigan and Herb Nelson Jr. have to say.
Highly qualified officers. It's time to push aside the paperwork and get out on the beat and demonstrate to your subordinates how things are done, how things should be done. Because that's where the educated folks are, sitting up in the area headquarters. And the fact that you have CTAC running from one end of the island to another, multitasking and trying to cover all the bases, it's just imperceptible to me. You do have to train people up down to station level, how to handle these cases. It comes back again to our fusion center. A fusion center that can help with the collection, collation, and analysis needs to happen. Cornwall, Middlesex, Surrey. And that has to be across all areas. And you have to look at, they have to be looking at cases that are related, things that are related across cases. Because if you're not looking at that, if there's nobody looking at that, you could be missing the forest because of the trees. So what I'm saying is communication has to improve between the parents of these missing folks. And there should be a regular update, just like they get on TV and do news conferences on the special cases. This should be happening with missing persons, missing kids, to say what the progress is. Because this has been an interest of, over the last 5 years. And we don't see a whole lot of movement. The last Association of Commissioner of Police, we proposed to them having a database, Caribbean-wide, Latin American-wide, Western Hemisphere-wide, of all the predators in the Caribbean, Latin America, North America. And I have not gotten any feedback. I don't know what's happening with it, because if we propose something, you think
Dr.
it
Nelson,
will come back.
Dr. Nelson, you said you presented this to the Jamaican government?
It was presented to the Jamaican government.
Oh yes. I cannot test
and it was presented to the CARICOM, all association of commissioners, to have this done, and that needs to be done, because if you don't do it, what you're going to have is more and more missing people, and you're going to have these predators slipping between the cracks, coming into the island and leaving, just like they were stealth agents performing this stuff.
Let me just say this about Mr. Nelson, just to say that that was presented from 2016 to right up. Fusion centers, all those recommendations were made to the Ministry of National Security. They were remade and have been made with offered people who can be advisors on all of these things, gang-related experience, and some people with huge, including Mr. Rattigan, who was there sitting down yourself.
So, Dr. Francis.
Yes.
At that time, who was the Minister of National Security when he presented all of that? Was it Bobby Montague?
Yes, that was Bobby Montague was the person at that time. And also, we wrote a letter to Dr. Horace Chang upon his appointment, and presented all those information to him, right? And also the Commissioner of Police, Major General
Anthony Anderson.
Yeah.
Yes, Anthony Anderson. It was presented, all of them in detail was sent to him. And so therefore this.
Gentlemen, is it that the powers may be who hold position in Jamaica? We're going to go back to the Donald case,
Yes.
But is it that the powers may be who hold position in this country do not want the diaspora help, but when election time come around, they come to the diaspora for money?
Well, I mean, let me make it quite clear. I would never give another political party a penny in Jamaica, not a dollar, not a single dollar, because I don't know what they're doing with the money and so on, because it is a waste of time. You can't have people who you elect and promise to do X, Y, Z in the country and they're not doing it. I'm sorry, I don't care which party you belong to. The fact of the matter is that we spent a lot of money to bring this information to boot. We have it on record, we have it written, we have it everywhere possible. I am sure Mr. Nelson can bring a whole plethora of stuff on Mr. Rattigan and so on. He spoke to very high-ranking people, apart from in the crime task force and so on, about these things as well, and what has happened. Zilch. It is so sad. So many of these things, in other words, could have been avoided if they had just simply taken our help. We're not asking to take over, we're asking our help to help you to resolve the issues of the day.
The question must be asked. Hold on, Mr. Rattigan. The question must be asked. Then, is it that the two political parties in Jamaica, and I'm not going to apologize, is embedded with corruption, that they don't want the help from the diaspora?
Well, it's a very tough one, because I know a lot of persons on both sides of the fence who really want to see a solution. But the question is, it's talk and not action. And, and the fact is they don't have the power. Let's just be honest. The Prime Minister has the power, not the Minister of National Security and the Deputy Prime Minister. He doesn't. The Prime Minister does. Okay? And other, and they have to come to, the question is, why don't they want us to look at the situation? Well, figure it out yourself. Okay? Because they know this thing can be curbed. Okay, we're not talking about what Mr. Rattigan has gone above and beyond the point of duty to offer his services. Okay, we have also have written information that we could get to help to energize the police force in certain aspects. But guess what? We're here, aren't we? Talking about it. Hopefully, this case of Donal Donaldson will bring some things to the fore that we can now get out and use the resources that are available to us at the U.S. Embassy. They will help us if the government decides that they want our help.
Sir, I think you were saying something?
Yeah. What we have is a colossal failure at the top. There's no leadership, no knowledge, no experience. What do I mean by that? Dr. Chang, the person who's in charge of the Ministry of National Security, under whose portfolio falls the JCF, he's a medical doctor. He has zero experience as far as law enforcement is concerned. As far as criminal activity, I would say, is concerned, except if you believe the report put out by WikiLeaks, the cables emanating from the U.S. Embassy about their feelings and their perceptions and their collection of facts about him. And I would suggest that the listeners should go ahead and Google WikiLeaks and put Dr. Chang's name underneath it. Read that for yourself and make your own determination. But having said that, this is a man who has no experience. He should never have been in that position. He should have been at Ministry of Health. And that goes to the actions of the Prime Minister, because at the end of the day, he's the one who's assigning ministers to various positions. Now, here's a huge problem. If you ask, the JCF is comprised of about 12,000 officers, and if you ask them, what are the priorities of the JCF? For example, if you ask an FBI agent, it's drilled into us. If you ask an FBI agent, what are the priorities of the FBI? They can rattle them off, at least the first three. They can tell you it's counterterrorism, counterintelligence, cyber. Those are the first, which means that we're prioritizing those cases. If you ask the complement of the JCF, what are the priorities? I submit to you that the overwhelming majority of the officers, they don't know what the priorities are. That's a failure of leadership. That's a failure of leadership. The FBI's vision in fighting crime is very simple: ahead of the threat. And that goes to what my colleague Herb was talking about in terms of having a fusion center, so you can see emerging threats, you can see what's going on, so that you can be proactive, if not predictive. But certainly you don't want to be in a reactive position. You don't want things to happen and then you react. And that's the state of policing in Jamaica. Things have to happen before they react. They don't have any vision, no leadership, no knowledge, no experience about crimes happening in their own country, in Jamaica. I can sit here. I mean, this panel, as far as we are away from Jamaica, geographically, we can sit and tell you what's going on in Jamaica. I guarantee you that amongst just the four of us, we have a pretty good understanding of what's going on in Jamaica, more than the overwhelming majority of the people in Jamaica. More than the overwhelming majority of the people in the JCF. And the question is, why? Why is it that someone can pick up the phone in Jamaica and call me and tell me what's going on, but they won't call the police and tell them? Why? Because the brand is damaged.
But the prime example, Mr. Rattigan, when the observer violence started in Spanish Town, the present mayor of Spanish Town was afraid. I think he was afraid to go to the JCF to tell what was going on. Is it that he was afraid of the JCF, or maybe he's afraid of the criminals? We don't know. It is now 12 o'clock. It's now 11 o'clock, rather. Are we going to take a commercial break, Mr. Brown? It's now 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the United States. We're here talking to Wilfred Rattigan, Dr. Herbert, Mr. Herbert Nelson, Dr. Rupert Francis. We're speaking about the Donnelly disappearance and also the failure of the Jamaican government to take assistance from Jamaican citizens who have experience in law enforcement, who have experience in the FBI, counterintelligence. They refuse to take any help from them to help to fight the crime problem in Jamaica. So the question must be asked then. Is successful government really want to fight crime in Jamaica? Are we going to take a commercial break? We'll be right back and make we talk. Here on Roots 96.1 FM, the voice of the inner city. We're here talking about the disappearance of Donal Donaldson. It is presently under investigation by the police. Well, we're going to segue to say goodbye from this because honestly, if we continue this, we go up until about 5 o'clock this evening. 5 o'clock. And we're still asking the question before we go. Will Donal Donaldson's family ever get justice in Jamaica? Will the other families whose family members have disappeared, will they ever get justice in this country? Will Jamaicans who are languishing in prisons in our country, who has never seen the doorstep of a courthouse, much as to speak to a judge, will they ever get justice in our country? Will the Jamaican people ever get justice in our country? Will the political leaders of our country, a Babsy Grange, and other female parliamentarians, will they ever call out for justice for the females who are being brutally murdered in this country? Or is when they reach to somebody who they know they come out and chatter sort of shibangarang? Oh, my heart and my prayers are with the family of the people of the Vum-Vavon, the Vum-Vavi. But the people who live below a crossroad, and I can't call on, nothing wrong with you, no. No, nothing. But it's the people who live below a crossroad putting them there, though. It's the people of Riemann, Jungle, and Tivoli, Backbush, Arnett Garden, Tower Isle, Tower Hill. Those are the people who are putting these parliamentarians back into power. But they don't give a flying kahuna about them. This afternoon, it is now 1:32 in Jamaica, 2:32 in the United States. Will Donal Donaldson's family ever get justice in our country? Will other Jamaicans who seek justice will ever get justice in our country? The national pledge said, before God and all mankind, I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the strength and vigor of my body. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. To work diligently and creatively, to think jealously and honestly, so that Jamaica may under God increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. Who's going to stand up for who's going to stand up for justice in our country? Is it that we said the national pledge and don't mean anything behind it? I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the strength and vigor of my body. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. To work diligently and creatively. To think generously and honestly. So that Jamaica may under God increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. Will the people who lost their loved ones, will they ever get justice in this country? Will they ever get justice? My heart bleeds for my nation. My heart bleeds for this country. People crying for water. Yet we're talking about going republic. How many Jamaicans have lost loved ones and no justice for them? How many? How many of our Jamaican people who has lost loved ones and there's no justice for them? By the way, before I go, I want to read something that was sent to me. Flight from Montego Bay face emergency after takeoff. Passengers aboard a Spirit Airline flight NK270 leave Montego Bay in St. James, Jamaica for Fort Lauderdale, United States. Got the scared of their life this afternoon as they brace themselves to prepare for a crash into the sea. Hold on there. The Gleaner understand that soon after takeoff, the unexpected happened. The pilot told us to prepare for a water landing on the high seas, emergency landing at Montego Bay Airport. And the person who sent this to me, end up saying, had it happened, had it break down, Montego Bay have healthcare sector. In other words, what he's saying, if this had happened, can the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay and other health facilities in Montego Bay, could they respond to a crash landing on the high seas? God was so good that nothing happened. And the person went on to say that is why the American government is saying to its personnel to be very careful when they come to Jamaica because there's no proper health care. And when they're done, they said it's the dirty 30 bring down brand Jamaica. As we end the program this afternoon, will there be any justice for Donal Donaldson? We must ask the question also, will the Prime Minister of this country ever declare the name of the six? Or would he ever say, okay, my statutory declarations are impeccable? Will he ever say that? Will we ever find out who truly killed Melissa Silvera? Or the person who did it will go scotch-free while Mr. Silvera go to prison for a crime that he did not commit? Or will we ever hear why is it that a certain parliamentarian name is on the taxes of a Cow Bay property that's owned by Melissa Silvera's family? Huh? So many things that we need answers for in this country, not getting any answers for it. The two political parties failed the people of this country. My fellow Jamaicans from home and abroad, may we continue to fight the fight of creating a better Jamaica. Because the change that we seek as a people, as a nation, will never come from the two political parties of our country. My Lord, Miss Allen, Mr. Allen, can you give me a call, please? I'll put up my number on the screen here. The person who said that they talked to Wilmot Perkins and the killing of their son, give me a call now, please. Give me a call, please. Please give me a call. That's the number on the screen there. Give me a call. So many Jamaicans have lost family members and still having justice. Have never gotten justice. So many. I want you all to remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. There's a fake one out there. I don't know nothing about that fake one. But remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares. That's Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares LLC. That is my YouTube channel. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And don't you ever forget the land that we love. The land of Jamaica. I want you all to continue to pray for this nation. Because one day better must come. Until you hear my voice again, may God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. Mr. Errol, call the number, please. Who said that your son, you spoke to Wilmot Perkins about your son. I know it's hard to come on here and talk about this again, but I'd love to hear it. Until you hear my voice again, may God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. Have a great evening, everyone. Join me pretty soon for our next episode of the Make We Talk program. Good evening.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffrey Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vum viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk.